You didn't want to get Dell's.
Good morning, everyone. First day of summer, so it's probably going to get warm today.
It is warm today. It'll be warm.
Let's see. Today's honors, Song, Bill Johnson. Michelle's not here, so I'll lead the pledges. Prayer, Betty, and objects, the Honorable Jack Becker.
And he is here today.
And he is here today.
Glad to be back, guys.
So, Bill, what song you want to lead?
God bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you so much for bringing us here together. Thank you for this Kiwanis organization. Help us to be mindful of our purpose. Thank you for the youth of this city that we can help, and help us to know every day places we can serve you. Thank you for loving us. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
To give primacy
Spiritual rather than material values of life, to encourage the daily living of the golden rule in all human relationships, to promote the adoption and the application of higher social, business, and professional standards, to develop by precept and example a more intelligent, aggressive, and serviceable citizenship, to provide through Kiwanis clubs the practical means to form enduring friendships, to render altruistic service, and to build better communities, to cooperate in creating and maintaining that sound public opinion and high idealism which make possible the increase of righteousness, justice, patriotism, and goodwill.
Guests. Oh, we got guests back here. Would you like to stand there and introduce yourselves?
I'm Rena. I'm the treasurer of
Luke President.
I'm glad you got up. No school, you got out of bed anyhow. That's great. Betty, you want to introduce your guest?
This is Sandra Williams, and she's visiting with us again.
Nice to have you back, Sandra. We'll introduce this gentleman in a minute. Lorm, it's lottery time.
Yes, I'm going to invite the gentleman in the black.
Esau.
Sure, gentleman in the black. Come forward
Johnny Cash is
Johnny Cash is here.
and draw a ticket from the highway.
I quit even looking at my ticket. I never put it up. I got the number here. It was
It's usually Betty. I think I don't know.
I forgot.
070.
My streak continues.
Standing up for the
You were here when I won 2 out of 3 weeks.
I didn't
ago.
vote.
You did?
Yeah, I won. Then I didn't
gave
win.
you a chance.
Then the third week I won again. Out of the 4.
Different roles.
Oh yeah, I think there's two. The winning side and the non-winning side. Ah.
Oops. And you were.
Today, 21st.
You got another. You got another.
Meeting day.
Are you wearing your Kiwanis pin? You didn't take that one card out.
Yeah, you didn't take that.
What was it, 4? Oh, so you lost twice.
Oh, that's all right.
Queen and
That's
what was
dinner.
that? 4
That
nights.
was right there in the middle.
It's red 5.
There you go. Okay. There you go.
Well, that's stuff.
Alrighty.
I bet y'all
Neither
are,
one of them are any good.
I bet y'all are heading off
That's
there.
six.
Okay, announcements. June 21st, that's today, Turkey Roll Committee meeting at 12:30.
North Branch Library.
North Branch Library.
So in the meeting room as you go in the door.
Library.
Where's that?
I don't think I've ever been in
North
there.
Branch
Where's the library?
Is that right across from the park?
Locust Street.
Go to Locust
I've never
Street.
been in that building.
Locust and Windsor.
Last time I was in that building, it was a food bank.
There's a
It's a nice library.
I don't think I've been in a library since high
It's
school.
in the park, right?
12:30, not 12.
Yes.
On the corner of Locust and Windsor.
Locust and Windsor.
Oh, corner of
12:30,
Locust.
not 12.
12:30, not 12.
I'll pick you.
Because they were busy at 12, so we
I'll
had
pick
to.
you up.
Okay.
All right, very good.
That's why.
I'll be ready. So,
Okay.
July 1st is the 4th of July parade. Joe and I began construction on our float yesterday.
Yes.
Our trophy winning float. So we are going to, it's going to be Washington crossing to Delaware.
Are
And
you making a whole new boat?
no, we actually started with Ken Reedy's fishing boat. So,
Ask him the trivia question. Ask him.
oh, yeah, who knows the name of that boat? Yeah, who knew it?
Little
had-
boat. I don't know.
The name of the boat that Washington used crossing the Delaware.
Daniel, it's not Bodie McBoatface. It's not that, because that was my guess.
I knew I said it was Mickey Mouse.
That was going to be my second guess.
only person I know that would think to even wonder is Joe. So, Joe's the guy that wonders.
Did they give a name to the?
It's the Durham. Durham.
Huh.
And it's I was trying to think of what to put on the back of the boat. You know, whether I was going to put "Go America" or what. I just thought.
I thought it was the Titanic.
No, that was a good guess, but Durham is named
Okay.
for Durham
Interesting.
Iron Works in Durham, Pennsylvania.
July 6th is First Thursday. That's when we'll get together and celebrate our first place trophy.
Okay, so
now, I
our-
think we've got to
Our unofficial mascot, my daughter, because it's her birthday, requested that we go to Olive Garden. I said I will throw it by them. I don't know if it's going to happen. So,
All right with me.
I thought we were going to do it at your house.
Well, I was going to say let's do it at my house
Yeah,
this
we
year.
were gonna do
hot.
But too hot. My house is air conditioned.
inside.
And the only person to be outside would be you, Ken. You'll be grilling.
It's too hot.
Will y'all still go if it's at his house?
Huh?
Will y'all still go if it's at his house?
I'll bring it back to the mascot.
So
I will bring it back to the mascot and tell her that we're going over to your house.
okay.
Okay.
And if it's hot, we'll do it inside. And
Okay.
we can cook hamburgers inside.
There's a pool.
That'll smell. Yeah, there is a swimming pool. Y'all are welcome to join.
I think we're going
What's
to
your address
Pete's
again?
house.
4. Wellington Oaks Circle. They couldn't afford 2 numbers. It's just 4 Wellington Oaks Circle.
He
Yeah,
lives
they
on,
ran out of numbers.
he lives on a golf course.
Yeah. 4. July 15th, quarterly trash pickup. Always a good time. It will not be hot, so join us for that. August 3rd through the 5th is the convention in Granbury. If you're not on vacation like I am, that's a great place. And we need to attend especially classes about
Recruiting.
recruiting.
Want to ask who's registered?
Yeah, who is registered? Very good.
signed up for that?
What's that?
Go online and
Yeah.
Go to, what's it called? The
TX, okay, DI.
TXOK, Texas, Oklahoma. Just Google Texas, Oklahoma Convention in Granbury.
TXOKDIST.org.
That's
simple?
It is remarkably
It
simple.
is pretty simple.
And
What you have to do.
The main convention hotel is booked, so you need to.
Really?
Comfort Suites is where I booked. It's supposed to be in walking
It's
distance.
Halloween.
Have you
Nobody
booked it
there.
yet, Daniel?
Huh?
Have you booked yours yet?
I have not booked mine.
Comfort Suites is where I booked.
They've sold out.
Unfortunately, the job is being weird. So,
You're saying you're not going?
oh, I'm not saying it's not that. I just won't be there probably on Friday. I'll probably be there Saturday morning.
And finally, November 17th and 18th, the 41st Turkey Roll, beginning at Denton High School, exploring most of Texas. Always a good time. And we need lots of workers. We need all of you and everybody you know to work that day. We're expanding and we're going to have is it 100 miles or 100 kilometers?
100 kilometers.
We're having 100 kilometers, which is like, ooh, man.
The 100K, but we're going to have the hybrid path this year.
Yeah.
So that's the big.
Plenty
that's one
of
big
work
thing.
for that day. So join us for that. That's our fundraiser.
No, it
That's
sounds
how we
good.
do all the wonderful things we're able to do. Any announcements from any of the key clubs?
Denton High.
Esau, you got anything to say, or is it summer and nothing happening? Or
So the only thing that happened this summer, it's mostly just me and the officers and prepared for the next year.
yeah,
One thing that we did too is that we volunteered at, not last week, but the week before last week, volunteered at Alexander Elementary.
you volunteered where? I'm sorry.
Alexander.
The music's playing, so you know.
It's Alexander Elementary School down.
Alexander Elementary.
Yeah, it's East Denton.
Okay.
And they're having like a snack camp for the whole week, so just went each day and pretty much.
That's
just
nice.
extra parents.
That's nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
so we did that.
We're gonna need you and your key club on the July 1st for the
Yes.
for the parade.
I'll try to get the word out.
We'll even put some of you in. The lucky ones will be in the boat. The not so lucky ones will be, swimming next to the boat. But it'll be fun. It's
The
a
ones
good-
in the boat are going to be holding up, Mark.
It's a good time. Yeah, because George Washington there standing in that boat.
Slaving off the ice floes.
Mark had a great idea. Let's all wear dark sunglasses. I think that'd be hilarious.
I said I wanted to be the guy in the front of the boat with the pick.
And we're ready for Hank. Ready for Hank?
Sure.
What did Charlie had
Actually,
something?
this is an unplanned.
I told you I'd forget that.
Yeah, this is actually an unplanned plug for the Denton Chamber of Commerce, but I would like to cordially invite each and every one of you to our 25th anniversary celebration of Spinal Decompression and Chiropractic Center. Dr. Vince Boyer, who I work with, has been helping folks, and we've been helping folks feel better and move better 25 years, and you don't want to miss this. It's going to be Tuesday, June 27th. The members of the Denton Chamber of Commerce are going to be there to do a ribbon cutting. We're going to have food giveaways. The Denton Spider-Man, special guests including Denton Spider-Man will be there, and just a wonderful time at 4 to 6. Love to have you come out. If you've never been to our facility, it's just a great opportunity to see where we are and how we help people. So looking forward to it. So
Thank you, Charlie.
And actually, I've got one more thing before we move on. So, for everybody, we got the cards in today. So please take those cards. As you know, our numbers are kind of dwindling a little bit. So please take the cards that you have there that says invite, hand them out, give them out to people. I did one person yesterday, and if we need to, we can order some more. But we really need to be out there and really recruiting and getting some new members in. Turkey Roll this year is going to be bigger than ever, and we're going to need everybody.
Where are the cards?
They've got
And today we have Hank with us from the new club. Who? Hank, what's your name?
Hank Dickenson.
Hank Dickenson. You told me he was a great guy. But you also said don't repeat that. I apologize.
Said it was just a rumor, is that what?
So Hank is going to come up and teach us about the Denton Chamber of Commerce.
All right.
Yes, I am a member of the Denton Kiwanis Club. We eat here as well on Tuesday.
That's okay. Hey.
We're all birds of a feather. But I want to commend these young people for being out here. One thing when we look around this room at noon on Tuesdays, we're not getting any younger. So I think it's important that we try as hard as we can to get a different generation to understand. When we go through all the precepts of Kiwanis, we talk about righteousness, we pray, we honor the flag, we're doing some things that a lot of people aren't doing anymore. So I appreciate y'all being out here, and I appreciate what you guys do for Kiwanis. When I'm done with this, I'd like to answer any questions maybe about the Monday, July 3rd drone show downtown. Our club's been known for a fireworks show for years, and personally, I love fireworks, but we were approached by Parks and Rec to partner with them for a downtown show that would be a in-the-air animated drone patriotic show. So we're giving it a shot. Last year we were getting blown up on Facebook for making dogs' ears bleed because of fireworks in North Lakes. This year we're getting blamed for no fireworks, so you can't win, right? But we're going to give it a shot, and it should be good for the downtown business district because it'll bring some folks down there, some families down there on a night that would have been quiet. So wearing my chamber hat, I feel good about that opportunity. But briefly, before I jump into all this, a lot of you that I know and have known for a long time know me from years of working in the athletic department at North Texas, which I did for over 26 years. I retired in 2020 from athletic administration, but it confuses people because I'm still on the radio doing Mean Green football and basketball. When I do that, I'm an employee of Learfield, which is a company that bought all the marketing rights for North Texas. So I'm still happy to wear green today. I'm trying to just wear both my hats with one shirt. Okay? Chamber green, Mean Green. But anyway, I worked as a volunteer with the Chamber for a number of years when I was working in athletics, and I got to really enjoy what it allowed me to do. And I guess it depends on what you're doing in business as to how the Chamber can help you. But for me, I was trying to sell advertising. I was trying to sell tickets. I was trying to get people to give money for athletic scholarships. So I always tell people if I hadn't gotten involved in the Chamber, I would have had no success in any of those regards because Denton's a very generous community. I believe Denton is a scratch each other's back community. If you will get involved in some things like we all have in this room, other people will see that and they will want to help you with what you're doing. I still think that's a big spirit of what happens in the Chamber of Commerce. So what are we doing in the Chamber? We are here to support the business community.
Go down.
We're here to support the business community. And we're going to go through real quickly some of the things that we focus on in the Chamber. And we're also going to talk about some elements of the Chamber that maybe you've never considered. So I love this, kind of a nice little view of everything that goes on. And of course we had to pay homage to Frenchie, otherwise he would have called me 5 times. But he is a good example of a guy that scratches backs a little bit, right? So a little history on chambers. The first known chamber was in France in 1599. So the French businessmen of the time decided, well, the government's fine, but we want to have our own voice for business. And so this began to spread, and the idea came across the pond. Probably no real surprise that New York City was where the first U.S. chamber was. And the United States Chamber came about in 1912. It still sits about 3 blocks away from the White House. And the U.S. Chamber is the overarching chamber in terms of accreditation. It doesn't mean that every chamber agrees with everything the U.S. Chamber wants to do, but our boss, our president, Aaron Carter, is a member of the U.S. Chamber Board. So advocacy at a high level can occur when you know what's happening at the U.S. Chamber. And today there's over 7,000 chambers in the United States. What state do you think has the most chambers of commerce?
New York.
Anybody else?
California.
The great state of Texas has the most chambers.
Well, that
We
was
believe in
obvious.
chambers. So we're proud of that here at the Denton Chamber. So who are we? Well, you've heard the phrase, it takes a village. I think that's the case in almost everything. We are a village of investors. Anyone that's a member at any level, we're a member organization. That's how we, exist. And we're closing in on about 800 businesses that are members at some level with the Chamber. We are run by a voluntary board. Every year, our board is made up of men and women that are business people, many of which you probably know or you know of their business. But our staff, which is full-time, answers to that voluntary board. I served on the board for 8 years and served 1 year as a board chair back in 2010. So I had a little bit better knowledge of how all this works. But the bottom line is, if you have a board that wants to really get in the weeds on your finances, then you're going to have to really address that every month when the board meets. If you have a board that really wants to look at the functions that you're performing out in the community, then you're going to massage what you do based on that. Most of these board members, though, however, trust the staff to do the things that we do. But again, if there's ever any reason that they're upset with the way things are going or they want to change things, we are at their mercy. So remember, it's a voluntary board made up of people just like you that represent the business community. We do have a full-time staff, and I'll talk about them here in a little bit. And then volunteers, the people that really want to get involved in the chamber and really want to be out there and create their own personal brand are known as chamber ambassadors. When we have the ribbon cutting that you spoke about next week, there'll be probably 30 to 40 chamber ambassadors at the event. And they have been incremental in the membership growth that we've experienced in the last 2 years, because these are people taking time out of their day to come and support new businesses. Why do you do that? Probably because you want to meet the new businesses, and maybe you want to do business with the new businesses. So I always tell people, don't join the chamber for any other reason than to grow your business, grow your brand, but do it within the system that we've created, and you'll meet a lot of people in a hurry. And there's a lot of new people coming to Denton. I think we all are aware of that. So anyway, investors, board, staff, volunteers, that's pretty much the village. What are we doing every day? We're promoting our product. And what is our product? Denton, Texas. And I would tell you it's Denton County, because there's so much happening in and around. We think of Denton as the downtown square. We think of Denton as UNT and TW. Denton's a lot of things, but Denton's really big, really growing. And so we got to really think about the county and the county level. What are we promoting every day? Well, tourism. Sometimes people scratch their heads and say tourism. I would say 15 or 20 years ago, when I looked around the Denton that I lived in there, I would never have said it was a destination city. But since the Embassy Suites Conference Center came here, our numbers will tell you we are a destination city. Our Discover Denton staff, which is anywhere between 8 and 10 people, depending on kind of where we are in terms of positions, they work nationally to promote Denton. And they work very closely with the Embassy Suites and the other hoteliers. The numbers leading into the pandemic were record-breaking in terms of average room rates, average daily rates, and just overall hotel capacity. Okay, so we were trending really well. Then the pandemic hit, everything slowed down. Coming out of the pandemic, we picked up right where we left off, and the last 3 quarters have been the best we've ever had for hoteliers. If you don't live on the north side of town and you don't really see what's happening at the Embassy Suites, I can assure you, Friday through Sunday, there are out-of-towners staying in our town. And here's what they do. They get on that shuttle and they come down to our square and they fall in love with it just like we love it. And then they tell their organizers, we want to come back. Anybody remember the very first convention that was held at the Embassy Suites? Yes, Mr. Holland was able to get that here. That began a bevy of people coming in from other places and experiencing our town. So Joe, kudos. That has continued to happen. So when we report to our board every month, part of what we're looking at is tourism and conferences and what's coming in. The best thing about tourism is those numbers, those dollars they spend turnover, right? And a lot of that goes into our hotel occupancy tax fund. Now, before I get too far in the weeds, the bottom line there is that is money the city can use for the Denton Arts and Jazz Festival, holiday lighting on the square, the Halloween event that occurs down on the square, Twilight Tunes, things that make Denton a great place to live, work, and play and raise a family. So when you think of the chamber, you probably don't think of any of those things, but when you join the chamber, you're supporting that effort that I think does spill over to what you do enjoy in Denton. So tourism is a big part of what we do. Talent retention. You know, we're in an unbelievable situation here compared to some of the people we compete with. We're not Plano, we're not Frisco, we're not Southlake, but we're North Texas, and we have UNT, TW, and NCTC. We got more young talent right here than you can shake a stick at. And the bottom line is these young men and women now want to stay here. So we've got to figure out from an industry standpoint, what are we trying to lure here to keep the talent that we already have? Because if these young people want to stay here, we need to have the kind of things that are going to make them buy a home, raise a family, and be the taxpayers and the next leaders here. So we're focusing on all those things when we talk about promoting our community. Our 3 main mantras are advocate, educate, and collaborate. I keep trying to get them to switch so it would be advocate, collaborate, and educate, because that would be alphabetical, and then that would create ACE. And we are your ACE in the hole for economic growth in Denton. How do you all like that one?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. Advocate, educate, collaborate. And these are things that we need to do in a way that people see it. So if you never feel like we're advocating for business, and you don't think we're offering educational opportunities, and you don't feel like we're collaborating with different entities like the city of Denton, you need to point it out, because those are really
Hank,
kind of what we're doing.
AEC is the Atomic Energy Commission too?
This right here, this is kind of what makes the world go round for us. We want to build communities. We want to have the business retention because we need to keep the good businesses that are here. We need to continue to attract businesses. What are those? Do they fit within what our city wants? And then inside of all that is this constant visitor attraction and workforce development. Workforce development is an interesting thing right now because coming out of the pandemic, people look at the workforce differently. Younger generation looks at the hours that you work and what hours you work differently. Doesn't make anyone lazy or different than us, but we all kind of went with, getting to work early, maybe staying late. The work day is generally 8 to 5, depending on the industry you're in. When I was in athletics, there was no 8 to 5. There was a lot of evening and weekend and holiday work. But I think what we're seeing now is a lot of flexibility in the workforce. There's a lot of work at home opportunities that I didn't grow up with, and frankly, I would hate to work at home. Home is where I go when I'm done with work. But the new layer of the people coming out of the workforce, they want those opportunities. So we're having to pivot and learn and try to work through workforce development in a way that makes sense. And for some of us, that's a real learning curve, but it's something we've got to adapt to, and it's happening every day when you talk to major employers. The advocacy part of it is we want everyone to understand when you join the chamber, we are the unified voice of the employer community. What does that mean really? Well, we've got great local, state, and federal connections. Erin Carter, our president, marvelous young lady, has been working in chamber work in the North Texas region for a long time. So she's got fantastic local and state connections. But just typically when you talk about local, we're talking about Mayor Hudspeth, huge friend of the chamber, very, very supportive of our business efforts, and makes a point of attending an awful lot of events that I frankly don't know how he has time for. We work with whoever is on council to make sure they're understanding what we're doing. We have to be very transparent, obviously, with our financials and our plan, but we tend to know all of the council people very, very well. Erin, in fact, is having coffee with one of the council people this morning, and I'm here with Joe. So just an example. At the state level, Dr. Stuckey, huge friend of ours. The lines of demarcation have changed a little bit in terms of Congressman Burgess and Jackson, but these are all people we do deal with on a regular basis and try to make them a part of the programs that we put in front of our membership so that they can have access. And then at the federal level, you can't do any better than having a boss that's on the U.S. Chamber Board. So we do want to answer questions or put you in touch with people if you're having business issues. When it's in session, every other year, we will do a Denton County Days where we go to Austin, we take members of the chamber down there to meet our representatives, to talk about issues that are important, to Denton. So the advocacy part of it that started back in 1599 is still a big reason why there are chambers. Now, we're always looking for business-friendly policies, right? Everybody in any business would like to deal with minimal regulations, and if we're bringing businesses here, we want to have competitive incentives without giving away the farm. Denton is up against a lot of really great communities. There's 13 communities in counties inside of the North Texas region. Those 13 counties together are bigger than most states in terms of population. So everybody wants a piece of North Texas, the region. Well, we're sitting here at the top of the Golden Triangle with a lot to be proud of, a lot to offer, but we've got to consider competitive incentives if we're going to get major employers that we want to come here. Transportation, just like the higher ed factor, is a huge plus for Denton. If you've been to Apogee Stadium, you've been over to Texas Health Presbyterian, you know that we sit at the confluence of I-35, literally connecting Mexico to Canada. So you think about the number of Americans that pass either around or through our city every year, it's staggering. I go back to the days of trying to court a naming rights sponsor for the stadium, and the biggest thing we could sell was the highway. Because no doubt, no matter what happens, 365 days a year, constant traffic flow around our town, and luckily for UNT, the stadium sits right there. But there's a reason why Peterbilt is here. There's a reason why so many companies that support Peterbilt are here. Barring traffic and weather, you can get to anywhere in the United States in 72 hours from Denton, Texas. Barring weather and barring traffic, which can obviously be impediments. People want to be here if they're in the manufacturing industry that depends on trucking. We also have a vibrant, really busy airport. Denton Enterprise Airport, for its size, is the busiest airport in Texas. And a lot of people who live in Denton, who might live 76205 or 207, may not even realize we have an airport. But if you drive over to Western Boulevard and you spend any appreciable amount of time over there, which I do a lot more now than I ever have, it's amazing. So airport, highway, light rail, we are in a great situation for transportation. And then, yes, sir.
Every time I go out there, there's a new distribution center.
Yes.
There's some major out there. Those are huge.
Yeah, and that distribution obviously needs that. So that's a great point, Scott. And then I'm getting repetitive. Prepared workforce. We've got it. They're there. They're coming out of UNT, TWU, and NCTC. Don't ever sleep on NCTC, because what's happening now is more and more people realize that not every kid's going to go to college. We used to make that kind of a stigma. Well, you've got to go to college. Certainly, a higher ed degree is still always going to be very, very valuable. But NCTC is getting kids ready to be out there in HVAC and plumbing and welding and jobs that we know we need every day. Good jobs that can create a really good career and allow you to really take care of your family. So prepared workforce doesn't just mean college graduates. It can mean people that are out there with really good skill sets in those kind of industries. The bottom line, when you join the chamber, you want access. You want access to resources. So we're going to do, between the chamber and our economic development partnership, we're going to do 8 get-togethers during the year. These are either sit-down luncheons or sit-down dinners. Normally a chamber luncheon or dinner is close to 300, 350 people. So you're going to have a lot of decision makers and local elected officials and people that kind of make things move in Denton all together. And there's a lot of resources that can come out of that, especially if you're new to town and you're trying to figure out who everybody is. It's a great chance to jump into our situation. People will always tell you, well, it's just a big club. And I tell you, yeah, it's a huge, big club. But inside that huge, big club, there's so much opportunity. Because this is a welcoming community. This is not a community of cliques. This is a community trying to move together. And I would tell you the resources you can gain just from a human standpoint during the chamber, I am witness to how good they can be. And that's just a credit to how good a place this is. Education, obviously we're going to try to educate on levels that our membership wants to learn. We had last year, I thought, one of the best economic development partnership forums. We had the heads of state from higher ed, we had the president from NCTC, we had Neil Smatras from UNT, we had Corinne Phaeton from TWU, who, by the way, is a remarkable speaker. If you can ever get her here, she's fantastic. And then we had Jamie Wilson, a good friend of mine from DISD, superintendent. They were talking about how the workforce has changed, and they were talking to people in major employers. And Corinne made the comment, there's 5 generations working together right now. And let's just consider all of us, except for these 2, the thumb. But the thumb's got to work with the pinky, and the pinky's right here. All right, so the thumb always answered the phone in their house. They answered the phone for themselves, for their mom, their dad, their brothers, and their sisters. The phone was on the wall maybe, but they could answer the phone for everybody. They've had the phone in their hand since they were 6, and it's their phone. So when you tell someone you want them to operate the switchboard, you better understand that only the thumb really understands the switchboard. Yeah. But we've got to learn that the pinky has been holding this thing, which is a computer, in their hand. And I thought, therein lies a big difference and a big chasm. And she basically summed it up with, by the way, the thumbs are fading out. The pinkies are going to be around for a while. So if you're hiring, you've got to understand that paradigm is shifted. And there's a lot of learning that goes with that. So when we talk about education, those are the kind of programs I think are useful for our people that are hiring people right now. And then finally, relationships. I would tell you my time involved in the chamber, while at University of North Texas, I made the best friends I've made in my life through all that. Luckily, a lot of them were business partners. I would tell you that anybody's capable of doing the same thing. We offer a lot of programming. We sponsored over 140 events last year, large and small. You're not coming to 140 events. I didn't go to all 140 events, but there's no lack of opportunity to get engaged through the chamber. So proud to be a part of it. It's a great team. We have 3 sectors in the chamber. The chamber staff, which focuses on business development, networking opportunities, a chance for people to get involved, ribbon cuttings for brand new businesses. We focus on that all the time. I'm out selling pretty much all day. I do business development, so that's memberships and getting sponsors for our events. Rarely in the office, which is when I took the job, what I told them, but I'm certainly available. But our boss, Erin Carter, you should get her back here at some point. She's really good. Discover Denton staff, like I said, between wherever we are with the total staffing could be 8 to 10 people, twice the size of the chamber. That's how much tourism means right now and how many people it takes to be out there marketing Denton, which to me is a lot of growth. And then economic development. Unlike a lot of communities that have authorized like a half-cent sales tax to create resources and dollars to market to major employers, we don't have that in Denton. So our economic development partnership is run by a gentleman named Dan Rosenfield, who's done a marvelous job. And we have to seek investors to create that pool of money to be able to go out and try to lure people. And like Jack mentioned, you know, there's a lot of distribution centers that like this area. There's a lot of cold storage that really likes this area because just because of the transportation hub. Storing food in a cold storage, Denton, Texas is a good place to pick up. A lot of the food that we store here ends up going to Mexico, which I've learned just from being out in those places. And then we're just a very, very popular place for commercial real estate for a variety of reasons. But that economic development partnership, to me, is very important because if we're bringing the right jobs here, they're paying people the right amount of money, then we're bringing everybody customers. And that's really the bottom line of what the chamber should be doing. Create some economy, support what's going on in thick and thin, and it's been a pleasure. Now, the drone show, just so you know, on the evening of Monday, July 3rd, from 6 until roughly 11 p.m., the square will be shut down, just like it would be for Twilight Tunes. Well, a little more than Twilight Tunes. The parking will all be gone. It'll be more like holiday lighting on the square. There'll be a live stage. Brave Combo will be playing. There is a hot dog eating contest. It is completely free. There will be a number of food trucks, plenty of beverages and things for the kids and adults. If you want to be in a position to really see the drones at the best angle, I would tell you need to be facing recycled books because they're going to come straight up on that quadrant of the square. But we're encouraging families to come out and spread blankets, have a great time. Most of the downtown businesses have agreed to do at least a 10% kickback that night to the Denton Kiwanis Club Children's Clinic, which, as you all know, is what we raise money for. So
I was wondering how you guys are in it.
Well, it's a pivot. You know, we used to make money on parking, and we used to make a lot of money on just sheer sponsorships. It just got harder and harder, and it's no one's fault. But when the university sold the marketing rights to Learfield, I didn't really have the keys to be able to sell all that advertising. It wasn't mine anymore.
Right.
And it got very expensive to do the show at Apogee because Apogee is, unlike Fouts, you know, where we did the show for years, it requires a lot of money to clean it up. And if you're going to use the club level and the suites and all the other things that go with it, you just end up spending a lot of money before you make any. And we just, you know, for us, anything we do in the noon Kiwanis Club, just like what you all focus on, it goes back to the children's clinic. So we've got to have a mechanism for making money. John Williams, owner of Eastside and 3 other establishments downtown, is a member of our club. He gave us 30 tables and 30 parking passes for VIP viewing at Eastside. And Eastside will have a really good view of the drone. So if you have an interest, we've been shooting it out all over Facebook. But I personally will miss some fireworks, but this is on Monday, July 3rd. There'll be plenty of fireworks on the 4th of July. And just as a Kiwanian, noon versus morning, thank you all for letting me come in here and talk today. Any questions?
The space that is on the square where the storage plant.
Yeah.
Are there any plans that known of? Or?
You know, that gets down to the developer whose tag is on there. There's a lot of us that would love to see that get opened up. And even if it was a stopgap measure, I think you could create a nice little outdoor, you know,
Put some grass out
situation.
there.
Yeah, but you know, it comes down to the people that still own that property have a developer that's put a sign out there, and I guess they're just not getting much traction. That side of the square really is where we need the most movement, because that area has been devoid of activity for a long time. And then I'm trying to remember the name of the sports bar there. It used to be called the Dugout. It was something else. It's been empty for 2.5 years now. So victim of the fire, victim of the pandemic. But I'll try to get a better answer for you on that. Dan Rosenfield, who works in EDP, would probably have a better idea of who some of the suitors are. Rent downtown is expensive, and so it keeps some people away from doing that. And rebuilding downtown is expensive too, just because you've got to go in and really upgrade a lot of plumbing and electrical if you're going to get it up to spec. So it might be like that for a while.
Has there been anything that come through there that was rejected because of what it might be?
Nothing that I've heard of. There was maybe a year ago talk of an outdoor, sort of like a beer garden, sort of like a German-style beer garden, which I thought could be pretty well received. But you know, I mean, you say that, and then you think about the way our weather swings around here. Being in charge of an all-outdoor venue might be pretty tough. I don't know. Never rains here. But. Joe?
A couple of things. Our club is a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and we thank you for that.
We would like to see if we could get some help from members of the chamber to help us put on our bicycle rally. And in a perfect world, I would have, for example, I would have the Frenchie's rest stop. And Frenchie would set up a little Frenchie headquarters at his rest stop, and people would come in and talk about that. Or the Morrison Milling rest stop. How could we go about putting that in front of chamber members?
I tell you, I think if you have time, come to this next ribbon cutting, because between Cole Frazier, Jeff Bowerman, and Tanya Blix, there are 3 ambassador chairs. They can mobilize those ambassadors, and that would be the best group. That could be 30 to 40 strong. Just a matter of trying to get it on the ambassador calendar. That, to me, that's your best group of volunteers. They like being together, they like doing things together, and that might be a good path to getting some chamber members out there to help you.
Could you point me in that direction on the 27th?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Bowerman, do you know Jeff Bowerman from Groggy Dog? Yeah, well, Jeff's wife is the gymnastics coach at TWU, and Jeff worked a long time over there. He's like my unofficial son, because he worked in athletics too for a long time, and we both kind of have the same view on things. But Jeff is excellent at mobilizing that group of people, so I'll introduce you to Jeff, and they can get that discussion going.
You were kind enough to mention our relation with the Embassy Suites Hotel. The Texas-Oklahoma Key Club district convention is going to be held at the Embassy Suites in April of 24, 25, and maybe in 26.
Yeah, Robin, our club secretary, has been keeping us informed on that. So, no, it's no small thing, and it's I look back on when the idea was out there about bringing a convention center, and some of you remember the first blush effort was to put it where the Radisson used to sit. So you envision it now, it'd be sitting right there on top of Apogee Stadium. Some of that sounded good, but I would tell you that where it ended up is better.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think the university will find a better use for that land moving forward. But the hoteliers were really kind of nervous about it. And what we kept at the time researching and looking at was, the old concept of the rising tide all shifts. And that's what's happened, because when you travel, and a lot of us have done this, You may have a convention and embassy, but your company or your organization may say you need to stay at the Hampton Inn. And that happens here. So even when the embassy is full, remember that there's spillover to Hilton Garden Inn and Courtyard by Marriott, and everyone is flourishing right now. And so it's a very healthy situation. And again, I think we've got what we all agree is a wonderful town, and people like coming here and experiencing it. So to me, there's nothing wrong with what's going on with the embassy. They're expensive to rent, but you know what? You get what you pay for, and they do a great job.
Tell me how a drone, I got two questions.
Yeah.
Tell me how a drone show works. What are we gonna watch?
So a fireworks show typically was between 20 and 25 minutes based on the number of the amount of pyro that we would buy. And we always thought that was a pretty good length of a show. A drone show is closer to 15 minutes. So we're gonna have two of them. We'll have one at 9:30 and one at 10:30. Jeff King, who a lot of you know is our president this year for the noon, he and I went and saw the animations. They're animations in the sky, so there's 100 drones, all with different lights, and they're
100.
Yeah, but we want to grow more because the more you buy, it's just like pyro. The more you buy, the more spectacular it is. We bought what we could buy for this year, but they lift off and they're programmed, and so they'll fly up there. And I don't want to give away the whole show, but an example, they'll form the United States of America in red, white, and blue, and then that'll morph into the state of Texas, and then that'll morph into Denton, Texas. So
Okay.
it's animations in the sky set to music. Now, depending on where you are, if you're on the square, you'll hear the choreographed music. If you go to East Side or Dan Silverleaf or somewhere else, you're going to see it, but you're not going to necessarily hear the music, which is the same as if you were in the stadium, you'd hear the music with fireworks. If you're outside the stadium, you just saw fireworks.
In my mind, it was drones pulling a trailer. You know, I just didn't know how it was going to
No,
work.
they'll leave from the City Hall parking lot, so if you can kind of envision being on the square and kind of angling yourself that way, that's why I say they'll be coming right up above recycled books. And that corner of the square has the least obstruction from a tree standpoint. So a lot of times when we have big events there, if you want a stage or whatever, or more people to congregate, that's kind of where they go. So, hey, we're going to give it a shot. I feel good about it after seeing the animations. Again, I love fireworks, but this was an opportunity to try something new. So we're trying.
Okay, now, there's nobody here, nobody will know. Who is the new sponsor at Apogee State?
You know, I was the guy working on the Apogee deal, and they've not included me in any of that. However,
Oh, here we go.
I would say keep thinking green. And that concludes my remarks.
So they're changing the name of the stadium?
Yes, Apogee, great people. And I don't want to bore you with that story, but they were not unhappy with anything. They're just so successful in what they're doing. They looked at their marketing budget and said, we don't really need to do this anymore. And the contract had multiple years where either party could opt out if they wanted to. And they decided, you know what, it's been a great run, but we're going to opt out.
Terminates the end of this month, does it not?
I think so, yeah. But yeah, I think it was great, and they were great people. But all it does is allow the next group to come in and hopefully benefit the athletic department at an even higher level. So
It's going to be Frenchy Stadium.
That's right.
Here it comes.
that'll
It's not
never
green.
happen.
Yeah, but they can't paint it orange though. They have
Hey, great program. We got something for you that all the news clubs going to covet this.
Yeah.
How many of them have Denton Breakfast Kiwanis?
No, it's good. It's good. I'll take it. I'll bring it to club next week. Right here at Rudy's.
You know, you get rid of it for that. Thank you very much. Great show. Daniel, what's going on next week?
I actually don't have anything right now.
It's a mystery.
We have someone from the Denton Black Film Festival.
For next week?
We have Harry Eddy speaking from the Denton.
That's next week?
And that's next week?
The 28th.
I'm 20? Okay, great. I was not aware.
Good job, Daniel.
I did a great job with that. I didn't even have to do anything.
Ken, what's up, buddy?
Tell me about these cards.
I haven't had a chance to look at it, so we talked about this.
So it's a you're invited. It's part of the membership guide, right?
Like Andy Eves.
But you, not necessarily you. You want to tell everybody else? Is that what you're saying?
We have to have a membership minute. Every meeting. Get these invitation cards out. We have got to get our membership boosted up.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. I mean, if you gotta buy people lunch, breakfast,
Oh, wait a minute.
I mean,
There's people who would like to join us. They don't know we're here.
free movie tickets, whatever we gotta do, we have got to get this membership up.
Just let them know we're here and they'll join us. All right.
Right?
12:30, Pike Raleigh meeting at
North Branch.
North Branch Library. Thank you all for coming. Thank you again, Hank. We're out.
I'll be there.